survived another day. Uncle Russ jumping up and down here at Group W in good old Dearborn, Michigan. And I hope you've survived. After all, that's the name of the game. Get that lawn looking good. What are you out there doing around? Fooling around. Get to work. What are you doing here watching television when you should be out there making that home spick and span? In fact, isn't it every springtime that the kids come by with a clean-up, fix-up campaign? They come by in their little wagons all over Dearborn. Sort of a fun time to live in our town. I love spring. I'm trying to get Blackout, my dog, Blackout McGinnis III, to stop chewing up all my bushes. He wants to trim the bushes, but he trims them right down to the nubs, so we got a little problem there, but we're working on it. Speaking of spring, I received in the mail the other day an invitation, sort of a neat invitation, and it caught my eye because it was made in what looked like school paper, and when I opened it up, sure enough, it says, an exhibition of painting and lettering by the 6th grade of Howard School, and it's opening reception Friday, April the 29th, 1 through 5 p.m., Art Room 26. And that's the Howard School over in North York and Dearborn, Michigan. And I was so fascinated by the design that I called up the school and got a hold of their teacher. And I find that Miss Diane Salancy was the lady who put this art exhibit of young Dearborn artists together. And so I invited her to come on down the show so that you could have a sneak preview before the actual showing of some of the neat things that are going on at Howard School in the art department. So hang in there. If you love art, you're going to love... Wait till you see some of the paintings that these young people and prints and things that these young people have done. You're going to be amazed. These are elementary kids. Some of these paintings in New York would command hundreds of dollars. Move over, Grandma Moses, and get ready for Kitty Moses. I'll tell you, it's happening. Speaking of mail, I received quite a bit this week, and I keep talking about it and saying if you have something you'd like to comment about, please drop me a card. And I got a letter from a lady who said, yeah, I've sent you 2 letters and you've never read them on the air, so I guess we really ought to get into that. So anyway, if you'd like to drop me a card, just write to Russ Gibb at random, Group W Cable, Mercantile Drive, Dearborn, Michigan, okay, and we'll get your letter on and we'll try and address your concern. Well, first of all, I had a letter from Matt Rafferty, and he said, Dear Russ, first of all, on behalf of the Dearborn High School of 73, I would like to thank you for your help and interest in organizing our 10-year reunion. The following is information that I would really like you to release. On September 24th, 1983, at the Bonnybrook Country Club, the Dearborn High School class of 73 is having their reunion. And the numbers and people to contact is Patricia Beers Peters, and the number that you want to call her at is 478-4749, 478-4749. So if you have anyone that graduated from Dearborn High in 1973, make sure you check that out. And then there's another person, Joanne McGuire, and you can get a hold of Joanne at 15 East Kirby, apartment 406, Detroit, Michigan, 48202. I think that's a little too complex, but anyway, get that first number, 478-4749, and you'll be able to get all the information. So thank you, Matt. We're glad to help out anytime we can. And I received a rather long letter from a Ronald S. Bombiak out in Bolt Avenue, and he said, Dear Russ, I enjoy your program very much, and I'm a steady viewer of same. In most cases, I find your program informative and interesting. However, this time I feel I must comment on one of your recent programs with your semi-steady guest, Councilman Mike Guido. Mike was interviewed concerning the recent actions of Mr. Guido and 3 other members of the City Council regarding the property located in West Dearborn adjoining Crawley Park. I would appreciate you reading the enclosed letter, which was mailed the past March 26th. You will find how many residents of this community feel about the way our city council handled this matter. Mr. Guido failed to answer several questions that you asked him properly. He did answer them, but in a manner which I do not believe was caught. When asked if the council approached the citizens of Crawley Park area, and I believe that you did mean concerning this subject of the nursing home facility, his answer was yes. But he stated when plans were being considered for the residential project. See, he was tricking us. The city and the city council failed to approach the citizens of this community concerning this topic, period. Don't get me wrong. We're not against a nursing home facility. However, we are upset in the manner in which the city used concerning this project. They kept saying it's city-owned property. Exactly whose property is city-owned property? I believe city-owned property is owned by the citizens and taxpayers of this community, not just 4 members of the city council. Therefore, I'm very hopeful that the state attorney general take the time to investigate this complaint, along with the complaint that I believe Councilman Doug Thomas has filed. Sincerely yours, Ronald S. Bombiak. And then he has a letter that he sent to the city council, rather to the attorney general, which goes over some of the things. Well, what we'll do is we'll get into that on another show, but I thank Mr. Bombiak for taking the time to drop me a letter and air his concerns. For instance, if you find something good going on in our city and you'd like to share it, drop me a card here. If you have some complaint, drop me a card. We'll look into it. We'll call up and find out the other side of the story, and if there's 2 sides of the story, we'll take time for that, too. That's the name of the game around here. We're for you, you know. After all, without you, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And we have to know what's on your mind and what things you're concerned about, what things you're happy about. You know, I don't want to make it in a show where we play a Lou Gordon. I admired Lou Gordon. I used to sub for Lou Gordon. But in the same token, I think that we ought to be talking about some of the positive things that goes on in this town. Like, I'm all excited about the Oktoberfest. I'm excited about some of the things and the improvements I see going on in the city. And I invited all the councilmen, have a standing invitation. All they have to do is pick up the phone and call me. But not only councilmen. If you're a citizen and you have something that you'd like to talk about, get on the horn, give me a call here down Group W, or drop me a card, and you can be on. Got it? Hey, let's go take a look at some interesting artwork by some young students at Howard School, and my guest, Diane Salancy, their art teacher. So hang in there, but before we do that, let's pay some bills, okay? Russ Gibb, I'll be right back. Back again, Russ Gibb, with my guest today, the beautiful Diane Salancy.
Thank you.
You sure you're not a student over there?
No, not after teaching for 17 years.
You've been teaching for 17 years?
That's
you started
right.
when you were 10, right?
Right.
Obviously. Diane, welcome to my show, and I want to thank you and the youngsters out at Howard School for inviting me. I'll tell you, when I got the invitation, that just knocked me out completely. I was so amazed, because it was so attractive. Did the kids do these themselves?
Susan Somerville did that.
Really?
And that's Line.
That's not Jack Somerville's kid, is it?
I don't know. Yes, it is, come to think of it.
Sure.
I don't know the father's name, but she mentioned
Jack's
her
my
father.
accountant.
That's
Did you know
what
that?
she mentioned to me.
Isn't that
yes.
great? And when I got this,
Yes.
I said, holy moly, we ought to have these kids on the show. And I know it's been a little bit of an inconvenience because you've been rushing to put this show together and having to come down and carry all these paintings down. But how did you start out with this show? How long has this showing been going on, Diane?
Okay, this is the 4th year. And it was my concept that the young student, ought to have a chance to experience what the artist goes through. So starting from the beginning of the painting, or whatever medium they're working in, and really making a commitment, being accountable for it. And I'm the art gallery owner, and the art room is the gallery, and my art students are the artists. And the artist, when his work is accepted, it's juried, which I do the jurying. Then he has a reception. And so we are having a reception, and our PTA parents are helping us with that. And we're serving, at our first year we had tea sandwiches, but then we overdid it, so we went to vegetables and dip and punch.
So, in other words, this is a microcosm of an experience. It's sort of a situation. There's a term in education for this. When you create an environment, or you create, and I can't think of the term all of a sudden, it's what the fellow over at Dearborn High does, simulation. It's like a simulation. You're setting up a real situation.
Right.
Well, how did the kids respond to all this, Diane?
Okay, they love it. What amazes me is I have expectations for the kids, but I don't feel they're unrealistic. But I will pull from them whatever I can, and I'll ask for the best. And I get it. And
Pursuit of excellence.
Right. And so when I presented the idea, and I told them how an artist will, I started out by saying the medium would be acrylics. We defined what acrylics means.
Yeah, what is acrylic?
Okay, acrylics is a medium in which it will work like watercolors. It's a paint medium. Will work like watercolors or oils. It depends. If you water it down, it's like watercolors. You can add on to it, use the palette knife, and get an effect like oils.
I see.
So you can go either way, but it is water soluble for a couple of minutes, and then when it hardens, it may look like oil.
Okay, then you get your youngsters to decide upon the medium they're going to work in.
Right.
Then what do you do?
Okay, so once we decided on acrylics, and then we start with the stretcher frame. So they had to make a frame, stretch the canvas. There's a correct way of doing that. They didn't even know what that meant, but they learned quickly.
I don't know what it means.
Well, it's putting on the canvas, but you just don't take a punch and just start punching it in. You have to stretch it from the center on out, so you're pulling it taut, and you're getting it on evenly. And then we put on gesso, which is a medium to protect the canvas from the paint.
Okay, and these are what grade youngsters?
Okay, these are 6th graders.
Okay, that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
What is that, 8 years old?
No, about 11 and 12 years
11 and
old.
12, okay.
Right. But they started in January. They come to me twice a week for 40 minutes, which is really not much time. And they understood that we're not doing rabbits for Easter or turkeys for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to get them to project their own experience.
Okay.
So I did not assign subject matter. It was to be some experience coming from them, whether it be fantasy or realism or design, abstract, whatever they want
And
to
put it on canvas.
and put it on canvas. And
I
it's
tried
pretty-
painting once, you know.
Oh, really?
Came out mud. Everything I did was mud. Is that a problem that other
Yes,
artists have?
yes.
Every color I'd mix, I would get so excited mixing the color, and it would all come out
Did
mud.
you ever dye Easter eggs and put it in every single color?
And it came out mud.
Mud, because every color will cancel the other one out. So
Is
that's
that
what
what's
they
happening?
learned. That's what the whole experience is about. Learning how to move color. So if you're doing grass, most people think, fine, I bet the art student's dipping his brush into green paint. Wrong. Because that makes a dead color. You have to build up color and move it. What about when the sun's out? Is the green grass
Oh, yeah,
the same
changes.
color?
Yeah, it changes.
What about when it's cloudy? What about in the wintertime?
What color is my set here? Come here a minute.
Oh,
I want you to
tints.
move over here. I get a better shot of you when you move over a little bit here. There you go. What color is that?
Okay, that's a toned down rose color. So it's in the family of red because it has white in it, but
Okay.
also gray in it.
What's that?
Okay, that's a tint of violet because it has white, but it's more intense than this color.
And that?
Pink,
Pink?
a tint of red, white
What's the
and
difference
red.
between tint and a color? Tint and a color.
Okay,
Isn't it?
no, color is color. Tints is any color plus white. Shades are any color plus black, and tones are any colors plus gray.
Diane, let's take a look at some of these paintings. We've been talking about how you do it, but let's see some of the actual paintings.
Okay, great. Our first one is, we're jumping a little bit to tempera painting, but just
Okay.
kind of giving you an idea. This was done by Kevin Baumgarten, age 9 in the 3rd grade, and we did people of royalty. Now, the same concept as the older kids, mixing color. If you notice, every color was blended by the artist.
That's excellent. You know, I was in New York the other week, and I was at the Metropolitan, and quite frankly, this is as good as some of the pictures that I've seen up there. Is it paintings or pictures? What should I say correctly?
Paintings.
The paintings. And when I was in some of the shops, I'll bet you could pay $300 or $400 for a painting like this. Seriously, that's excellent.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure Kevin will be pleased.
And how old is he?
9.
9 years old.
The whole idea was the detail. I mean, to get them to think of what people were like at this time. How did they dress? What did they do? As you notice, all the jewelry.
The jewelry and the...
Right. Trying to get someone to think.
Well, you've accomplished that.
Now-
That's marvelous. Let's just set that one down here.
We
Do you
have a
another one?
king. We have to have a
you,
queen.
Oh, you got a queen. And did Kevin do this one, too?
No, Kim Krogowski did this.
Isn't that
If you
neat?
notice the high neck collar, the detail, a complementary color, red and green, that was her decision. You notice the stained glass window on
I like
that.
the colors. They look like they might not work, but they do work.
They do work.
And the design, the balance of this picture and the angles.
Right.
That's
it's pretty
incredible.
scary to have something this large, and what do you do with space? I mean, that's the problem of the artist. What do you do with space?
Is that negative space?
This is negative space
space.
in here. The
Something-
shape takes on, then the painted part is the positive.
See, I just wanted you to know I remember something you taught me one time.
Very
That's great. Who
good.
did that?
Kevin Grikowski.
And how old is Kevin?
Or Kim, pardon me, Kim. Kim is age 8.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go.
now we
I want
go-
to get through all these paintings. see.
Okay, very good. Now we go on to acrylics. The stretch
Oh,
canvas
boy.
with gesso.
Look at that.
Okay. I asked Molly why she did flowers. She likes them.
This is Molly?
Molly Ciampa,
Okay.
age 11, 6th grade. Molly said she likes flowers. She goes out she looks at gardens, she looks at color, and that's just the feeling she had. Molly had a problem, and I don't think she'll mind me pointing it out. She learned you have to put color in the background. She left the gesso. We don't have a sky, we don't have land, we have all flowers. But to deal with that problem, if you notice, she did a lot of stems and
in
leaves.
there, sure. You're supposed to fill in the back, is that it?
Well, you put the background on first.
And then you move forward.
And then you move.
It's called planning ahead.
Right.
That's great. That's an excellent.
Right.
How many paintings did you bring?
6.
And these are going to all be open to the
These
public
will
with
be-
a lot more.
Right, right.
When? Friday?
Friday, April 29th, opening reception from 1 to 5.
Well, this is sort of neat. Look at that. Look at that.
Haley Musgrave did this, age 11, and I asked her about it, and she said, well, she enjoys landscapes, and she thought about this when she had taken a trip to New Jersey.
Sure. The mountains.
The mountains, but
Must be the Adirondacks or what are the mountains in?
I'm
Jersey?
not sure which one.
Can't think.
If you notice the color, this is not easy to do. How do you show brown against brown against brown? You have to change the value in the paint. Red into this one, yellow into this, darker brown, black. So you have contrast.
Do the kids make their own frames
Yes,
too?
they did.
Well, they're learning too.
Yep,
They're
that's
getting
right.
there. That's a big problem.
That's
Believe me.
right.
And that's expensive to get things framed. That's beautiful.
Okay, this
Oh,
one.
wow, I like this one.
This
is
one
neat.
was
I
done
like 'em
by
all.
Eric Shoemaker, age 12, 6th grade.
Is that a biblical scene there?
Well,
knight. It's a
good.
knight.
It's good against evil. He had read Lord of the Rings, and that's where he
Tolkien.
got his idea. And the single flower gives the idea of hope.
In the darkness. That's
the
evil there.
darkness.
That looks sort of like a mouth there if you think of it. You see the teeth in there. And then the guy going up, and then the white of goodness. After all, the good guy's always white, right?
Right,
You always have a white color, a blue color.
But if you look at this, it's not really just white. If you look real carefully, you see tints of blue, tints of gray, a little tint of green down here. It's to keep that color moving so your eye follows around.
Will these artists sell these pictures?
I talked to them about it. Well, let me say this, that yes, they have the option as far as I'm concerned, but try to take something good away from some student and you'll never get it.
Okay, we got to move here. We got about 4 minutes, so I want to get through all these great paintings that you brought.
Okay, this one was done by Rachel Karp.
That's a neat painting.
Again, she talked about perhaps it's a cottage that someday she would like to have, but a feeling of something
I like
older.
the balance on the canvas, the movement.
Again, lots of color, movement, and a lot of detail. But she applied this paint with the palette knife. So again, they're learning technique besides about color.
There's somebody in the little house there. There's something inside there, too. And a little flower pot. That's great. Okay, let's move here now.
Okay, this one.
Oh, this looks like the guy that paints
Van
in
Gogh.
A Van Gogh, yeah.
Van
This
Gogh.
is Vincent doing his work. Where's his ear?
No. Susan Somerville, struggling again with light and dark. She has a light background, and again, applying this with the palette knife and the direction going diagonally.
Does her father know she paints this well?
I think so.
He'll be quitting being an accountant and get her working all the time.
Good,
Boy, that's a
good.
beautiful piece.
Yes.
I love the colors. Bright.
And then, of course, we have the devil.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
David
Rock and roll.
Morrell.
And that's the devil.
That's the devil.
Ooh. I'm going to meet
You
that
notice
guy.
the teeth?
The teeth and the colors in there. That's
Okay,
sort of
using the
strange.
hot palette. Again, arranging colors, so you work with warms and cool. David using the warm colors. And again, how do you show different shapes up against each other? You have to change the value of
What
the
does this
color.
cost a kid to paint something like this, approximately? $5?
You mean the materials?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't broken it down that way because we order it in bulk for the total class.
I see.
But probably about maybe, I'd say $10 to $20.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
How old is this young man? He's 11.
He's 11.
Dave. Got
And
any
then-
more paintings?
No more
That's it?
paintings, but we have lettering.
You have lettering.
term
Well,
for
let's see some
lettering
lettering.
is calligraphy.
Calligraphy. Okay.
Elisa Crosby. She worked on the style of lettering is called Chancery Italic,
He says, life is a joy when you're with someone you enjoy. That's great.
written by Lisa.
By
That was
Lisa.
her quote.
I wish I could print like that.
You could, but you have to work at it. You have to
Yeah.
have patience.
Oh, well, we'll forget
You may
that.
not be able to
We'll
deal
leave
with that.
Thank you.
Okay, this
This
is
is
done
rockabye.
by Brad Martin.
Oh,
now, if you
right,
notice,
yeah.
he did not take credit. He he listed who the
guy
author
wrote
was.
the poem.
Shel Silverstein.
But he put down that that was his
That's
print.
right. Now
And this is 5th grade.
5th grade. And this is Old English, modified English text.
That's great.
And
I
if
love
you
it.
read the Bible, this is the style of lettering you'll see.
Costs a lot of money to do things like that, doesn't it? If you go out and have invitations hand.
Right, exactly. I consider it, well, it's become popular now, but it could be a lost art. That's why it's important to
that
keep
we
it going.
keep it going on.
Right.
Diane
Right.
Salancy, you've done a marvelous job with these youngsters. Now let's talk about when the show will be. We got about 30 seconds.
Okay, Friday, this coming Friday.
This coming Friday.
Opening reception from 1 to 5.
Okay.
At Howard School.
Over at?
1611 North York.
That's off of?
Lawrence and York.
Lawrence and York.
Off of Telegraph.
Okay, it's a bit of Telegraph and Ford Road in around
Right.
there somewhere. Not Ford
Right.
Road. Yeah, Ford
Yes.
Road. And the public is invited.
The public's invited, the mayor's invited, he got his invitation, the city council's invited, all interested art people. It's for everyone to experience, and the kids are extremely excited.
Diane, thank you for being my guest. Thank the young people for sending over the paintings
Thank
we
you for
enjoyed. And good
inviting
luck
me.
in your show.
Thank
You're doing
you.
marvelous work with kids. Russ Gibb, I'll be right back. I'll be right back after these announcements. To be an artist, now that spring is here. Isn't that beautiful? You ought to make out, see that show. It's a great event. I've been there once, and maybe if I get a chance this Friday, I'll get out again. Howard School. Russ Gibb saying to you, for those of you that took time to view the show, thank you. For those of you that took time to drop me a card or a letter, I'd like to say thank you. Most of all, I'd like to thank you for just being you. Russ Gibb, at random.